You're watching Diecast Breakdown with Chuck Ellis, David Johns, and Mark McHotwheel. So sit back, strap in, and hang on. The breakdown starts now.
Hey there, folks. Chuck here, and welcome to Diecast Breakdown. I am joined, as always, by my co-hosts, Mr. David Johns.
What's up, everybody?
And Mr. Mark McHotwheel.
What's up, everybody?
Often imitated, but never duplicated, that David Johns. Well, today is a special episode. We are finally in our new format where we're doing our fully pre-recorded episodes and doing all our intros together, which is nice. There's going to be there might be one or two more after you see this one where I do the intro, but yeah, this new way is going to be a lot smoother, and we're going to be able to talk to a lot more people and have a lot more fun. And speaking of fun, we are joined today by Eddie Castro, who is the art director over at Maisto. And Eddie, we are so glad you're back with us. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Chuck. I'm glad to be on. Appreciate it.
So, yeah, absolutely. And for those who didn't catch the live stream, we were recently at Diecast SuperCon over in Las Vegas. And it was indeed super. And while I had to man the base back here in Studio Alpha, as it were, David and Mark got to wander around and meet some awesome people. And they happened to cross Eddie, and we had a lovely chat on the live stream. And we had so much fun, we've invited Eddie back to talk to us on a more formal episode. So, Eddie, dust off your fine bow tie and top hat, because we're getting formal on this one. Not really.
All right.
Anyway, so Eddie, you've got kind of a really interesting and a pretty long career in working with Diecast. So, for those who don't know, let's go back to the beginning and let's talk a bit about where you got started in the world of cars and how that led you to work in Diecast.
Cool. So, I mean, I was always a fan of cars, but I think it was 97 or 98 when I got my degree in graphic design. I was working at a Kinko's and met, just by chance, this dude named Louis Tanahara, who was up. I don't know if you're familiar with his name, but he kind of put Jada on the map, right? So I bumped into him and we clicked and I'm trying to remember, some time passed, and basically like we stayed in contact, and he was really into like airbrushing, and he started doing like Photoshop renderings of cars and stuff like that. And some time passed. He hit me up when I was at like a weird place in my career. I was working at marketing department, right, for a hospital, for Loma Linda University Medical Center. And so I was doing just kind of basic, boring stuff, right? And when he got in contact with me, I had happened to be doing like illustrations and websites and stuff like that. And he had a job for me at Jada. I don't remember the year. It was a few years after I had graduated from college. So I want to say like 2001-ish. Might have been a little later than that. But then he offered me a position at Jada in City of Industry, because they were moving from downtown LA to City of Industry. And so that's how I got involved in the diecast industry. And then after that, like my whole like car infatuation just kind of exploded. Like we were going to all these different car shows and stuff like that. And it just made me want to like live that lifestyle even more, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that is super cool.
Absolutely.
So Jada, I gotta ask, this is just something I was curious about. Like, that was like during kind of like that was kind of when homies kind of became a thing, wasn't it?
Right. So when Louis used to actually work for Hot Wheels, and when he went to Jada, he brought this kind of like the whole like Dub look to Jada Toys. And so he was working with Dub magazine and Import Racer magazine. And I was like I'm not the first designers, because there was a few that in downtown LA when they were in downtown LA. I think there was like 3 designers with Louis. And when they moved to City of Industry, I was in that first batch of designers starting this whole like Dub City, Import Racer, Road Rats, like all those different lines. And then Homie Rollers, we got the license for Homies and did some Homie Rollers. I actually did the design for some of the figures for that.
That's awesome. That's really, that's funny because I remember being, I was a teenager then. And the first time I saw Homies was in like one of those like supermarket grocery store things. You put a couple of quarters in and it would put out the little egg with a figure in it. And I remember I bought a bunch of them because they were like, it's pretty hard to find back then. It was very hard to find figures that were about the size of a diecast car. So I had like several dozen of them. So I probably had a design or two of yours as well in that smaller scale. But that's really cool. So I was curious about that. So yeah, Jada really kind of came into its own in that era too. Like I remember like Walmart especially, like you could not, it seemed like half the aisle in that time was like Dub City stuff. Like it was so popular.
Oh yeah.
So what was it like to kind of see your design on a store shelf for the first time?
Oh, it was awesome, man. I tell people the coolest part is when you see a kid like eyeballing the cars, like, and they happen to pick up like one of your designs or something like that. Or even an adult, like just seeing the collectors get a kick out of what you designed or what you had your hands involved in. It's really cool. A cool feeling.
It's got to feel very rock star-ish.
A little bit
to have that moment. Yeah. Yep. That's one of mine. So, and you've really kind of like brought that along with you to Maisto, because a lot of the designs that you've put out have been very hot rod and kind of very custom SoCal influenced as well, right?
Absolutely. So when I started at Maisto, I was already wanting to do hot rods at Jada. I mean, we were doing them in like the Road Rats and Von Dutch lines. So when I went to Maisto, I wanted them to have a hot rod line. And so I brought the Outlaws when I first started at Maisto. I think it was like 2006. So we did an Outlaws release. I think it was 164 cars at first only, and then we brought it into 124 scale as well.
We'll be back with more Diecast Breakdown after this word from our sponsors. Here's this week's small channel shoutout.
Diecast Fixer-Uppers.
If you have a favorite Diecast channel with less than 700 subscribers and you'd like to see them highlighted on a future episode, email us at diecastbreakdown@gmail.com. The Diecast Media Network store is here. Wear your passion with pride, featuring designs from Diecast Breakdown, flying Valiant builds, plus unique designs inspired by diecast culture from Justin Ellis. Visit tpublic.com/Diecast Media Network now.
Hey, this is Champion DJK, and you're watching Diecast Breakdown.
And now back to Diecast Breakdown.
So,
Nice.
Eddie, I've noticed I love the castings that are under the Maisto name. I think they're really well done. And I've noticed you guys have a ton of licenses. Like it seems like every automaker is licensed by you guys. Does that give you as art director, like it's got to be a lot of freedom to be able to dive into just about any kind of car you want to look at? Am I assuming correctly?
It is to an extent, but it's also like we do have our hands tied a little bit because every year we only can put out like so many castings. So we have to kind of choose which ones we really want to make, because there is some, we can't make everything. So there is we got to just pick and choose about it.
I think the viewers would love to hear like what is the process? If you could kind of give us some, like a quick rundown on how a car gets selected to be made, and maybe just what is that process like?
So it goes through a few. There's obviously the design team makes their suggestions, and then we do like pay attention to what people are asking for on our social media accounts and Facebook and Instagram. But we take all that into account, and then obviously we study what the competition's all doing and just see like what the market needs at the time. Like sometimes We might be doing some of the cars that other companies are doing just because it's hot, but we try to make our selection work for us. And then what happens is there's a group of people at Maisto, myself included, and then some of the upper management which involves like the sales team, and everybody kind of, I make the suggestions, and then they kind of have their own suggestions of what we should do, just because their market might want certain cars that we're not hip to over here, but they want them for their market. So what happens is all those get thrown out there, and then we just kind of pick which one will work for everybody. And sometimes a salesperson might get a bone or two, and then we get a bone or two, and then, you know what I mean? Like, it just kind of gets divvied up that way.
Right. That's good to know. I'll keep that in my back pocket when we need to lean on you, Eddie, for that.
But yeah, I mean,
Specific
we're always
casting.
looking for stuff to do. So, I mean, we might run into someone at a car show and just really like their car and want to reproduce it.
Like maybe a 95 Saturn.
93.
You never know.
93. You never know. That's been the answer whenever David asks about his 93 Saturn. So,
Yep.
all right.
Yep.
It doesn't even
It's under
matter
advisement.
anymore.
Yeah. So, Mark, I got a constructive feedback that we don't let you talk enough on this show. So, it's your turn.
Oh,
to
you
ask
did?
some
Get in
questions.
there. Get in there, McCall.
Yes, I did.
Where
Hey,
is
you
Mark?
gotta, there's good reasons. Sure, there's probably some good reasons. And
They're
I'll
like,
give you,
let Mark speak.
So Eddie, got a pretty serious question for you. Do you ever miss working at Kinko's?
You know what? No.
Well, you know why? That's not the answer that I was looking for. But
You know, there was parts of it that were fun. There was parts of it that were,
Yeah.
Mark, are you
No,
referring to Pop Copy?
yeah, pop cup.
Now I already know what Mark's next
Oh,
question, his follow-up question, it's going to be, did I ever Xerox my butt on the copier? No, I didn't do that either.
You know him too well.
You just wish it was his butt that was on the copier.
Heyo.
Hey,
Broke it. I've got scars I can't talk about. So I'm going to spin off of a question I think that David probably would have asked, but I think he's just too afraid to. Would you ever consider making a lowrider PT Cruiser in the lineup eventually, like something?
Hey, they do a killer
date
PT
on
Cruiser.
it, or
Oh, yeah,
something
muscle
like that,
machine.
something like that. But that's a lowrider
muscle
edition.
machines, but
We
yeah.
actually have a PT Cruiser casting, and yeah, I don't want to touch that thing anymore, man. We've
I saw
officially retired.
Oh
Really?
no, man, that thing is awesome, Eddie. That is like the best PT Cruiser out there.
It actually really is. I have to agree with
Which
David
one, the
on
muscle
that one
machine
when
one?
it comes to no the Maisto one. It's actually a really well done casting. As far as accuracy goes, I don't understand David's odd obsession with the PT Cruiser, because I've actually driven one and was like, oh, this is even worse somehow than what I thought it would be.
What was it?
But-
Turbocharged?
It's-
No, bro.
No, it was not one of the turbocharged.
Well, the non-turbo.
PT
So you really
Cruisers,
can't
so.
speak to the turbo. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
true. So, Eddie, I was just perusing your Instagram, the Castro 13 art, and this will kind of lead back to us talking a little bit about Diecast SuperCon. And I thought it was really funny that I was looking at the list of your castings, and I'm pretty sure I own every single one of them. Of the little yeah. So I was just looking over because I had to grab. I got this one.
Yeah,
I've
Speed
got,
Beast.
this one I'm using the bumpers off this one for a custom. So this one's already
Oh, so you
I wrote
ruined
the
it.
Coyote.
Here.
Yeah, so I
that
ruined
one-
it.
Oh, it's all good. That Coyote, I actually designed it for an RC first, and then we shrunk it down.
It looks
and made
like an RC car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I could see that. Actually, I'm gonna save
Agreed.
the body because I really like this body. It's a really cool proportion on it. So, but yeah,
Thanks, man.
I hurt the resale value on that one. And we were talking before the show. I've also got to shout out the Fantasy. I love this van casting. I'm a sucker for a cool van, and look at it, sir. I love the quad headlights on this too.
Look
Like it's just a very, very 70s custom van look. Actually, one of my favorite books on my library shelf is a little book called Fixing Up Your Van on a Budget that was made in the 70s, and it is hilarious. It's like a Foghat song in book form. And it's even down to like debating, should you put an 8-track in or a cassette deck, quadraphonic or stereo? What kind of bed should you put in your Shaggin' Wagon? It's amazing book. It's actually very hard to find now. But yeah, a lot of people may not know this, but as we've kind of alluded to, Maisto is also Muscle Machines. And I gotta say, Muscle Machines, especially lately, has turned out some really killer stuff. And I love that you're delving more into the import and supercar market. I gotta say, this Lamborghini Countach is one of the most gorgeous castings. And I'm not usually one for the Muscle Machines.
I don't think Eddie made it. I think somebody else.
I'm not saying he did. I'm saying they made it.
If it's good, there's
I'm just saying, like, as somebody who's kind of been paying attention to Maisto and Muscle Machines for a while, it's really interesting because you can tell something is happening over there. Like, you've really the game is really stepping up. I saw your 53 La Bruja, I think you call it, the 53 Chevy casting. And that thing looks killer. There's a really well done thing. Now that I know you did, so that I will give props to. I'm really looking forward to but sweet.
Yeah, I have one sitting right here. Actually, without the white walls though. This was like a prototype one.
Yeah, that's so cool.
See,
Do they let you? They let you keep the prototypes, huh?
Yeah, this one. It depends on what it is. Yeah, I mean, you don't know one, but
exactly.
That's the only one you can show us.
So with the kind of crossovers and the cross brands and stuff like that, what do you think is one of the most common misconceptions people have about Maisto and working for Maisto?
I mean, I guess most people just assume that Maisto is entry level brand and it's meant to be cheap and stuff like that. But what a lot of people don't realize is that, it's like the 118 scale is supposed to be like more affordable, but it also has a lot of detail in it for the price. And that I feel like we get a lot of slack from some of the higher end 118 collectors that they want to compare us to like an Auto Art or something like that. And it's like,
sure,
if you put them side by side, like they almost look identical, but sure, their dog legs on the engine cover or something might be better on the more expensive one. And we might have windows and things like that the cheaper model doesn't have, like the side windows. Some of those, when you go to like Costco or Sam's Club, like they're only like $15, man. I think it's like $16.99 now.
They're very affordable.
So it's like super cheap. And that's I think people got to realize that they're getting a bargain for what kind of detail level we put on it, but also that we have other lines that aren't meant to be cheap. Like some of our like hobby stuff, like our Maisto design stuff and Muscle Machine stuff. I mean, it still kind of comes in on the lower end as far as price, but it's meant to be more of a hobby collectible and not cheap.
Sure. Yeah, I'll readily admit, up until recently, I wasn't aware that Muscle Machines was a Maisto brand. I thought it was its own thing, or it was under one of the other manufacturers. But I think that's really cool and I like that Maisto has kind of a more premium line in the 164 scale too, especially with like your truck and trailer series. Like you got the kind of the car hauler with you got a 57 Chevy, or you got like a Chevy Vega with a Mack truck type thing. Those are really cool. I love the Mack truck one. Yeah, the Grand National casting, we've talked about how I've actually got a copy of the Grand National casting here. It's a very, very good casting. I mean, and as several people pointed out, actually Charles Diecast Garage pointed out that it is a better casting than the Hot Wheels one. And I would 100% agree with it. And he actually had the question about the wheels and if there were plans to do different wheels and stuff, because I'm sure that's something you hear about from time to time, because the wheels aren't exactly, they're stylized. They're different from how they do roll very well, though. I think that's the primary thing, but I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, that's another thing that I think people don't understand as far as like what the price level is. You know what I mean? Like I think Hot Wheels are like $1.19 now. They were 99 cents, but
$1.25.
you know,
Yeah.
dollar something, right? And our cars were like, I don't know, 79 cents, I think, at one time, and now they might be a little
they
89.
they just went up to they're still like under $1 though.
As far as the wheels, one thing I learned by going to the factory was that they're putting a lot of like automated machines in place that are able to take the wheel and do the foil stamping on the wheel and all that stuff. And so they have these kind of, I don't know, like hurdles that we have to go through because it has to be flat and all this stuff. So now what we're trying to do as the design team, we're trying to get around that as far as like maybe redesigning the wheels where the foil is maybe only on the lip, and then we can do something concave on the inside of the wheel. So we are working on some newer wheels and just trying to improve the look of those cheaper castings. Because that is the biggest thing that we get grief on is the wheels of our Fresh Metal 100.
They're perfect wheel swap candidates, but like I've got the T2 VW bus that you guys came out, and that actually has some pretty decent looking hard plastic wheels.
Yeah.
You've imitated the white steelies on it. So that's really cool. I think that I agree it's getting better, but I think that's the other thing too, is a lot of people, it's not an apples to apples comparison to compare you to even a Hot Wheels, which has like so much more volume and they've got so much more pre-built infrastructure, and you're having to be creative with your price point and be creative with and again, like the thing I think that a lot of people don't really pick up on is the amount of licenses, like David pointed out, that you do have. You've got such a variety, and you've got really cool. Your fantasy castings are fun. I like the hot rod ones, obviously, because I got a couple of them. Stuff like this, the lead slinger is such a cool, like that's such a perfect Gaslands candidate car. Yeah, that's what I'm planning to do with this one. So I don't know. Have you ever looked into Gaslands at all?
We have, yeah. As a myself and some of the designers at work, we've caught on to it, and like we're like, oh man, this stuff is so cool. And then just seeing all the customization that everybody's doing on the cars, it's amazing.
Sure.
Man. And I would love to learn more about it.
Yeah, this is a modest proposal because Gaslands is pretty open source. Like the way it's designed, like the guy purposely did it to be like, hey, just go out and do it. And a lot of people have done free 3D printed upgrades and stuff like that. That would be a really killer thing for Maisto to partner with and do cars, because a part of the fun is building the cars. But if there were pre-built things like kits and stuff for doing stuff for Gaslands, or even if it wasn't for Gaslands, but if you just put it out and was build your own custom apocalypse vehicles, that would be a really awesome opportunity. That's my free bit of marketing advice for you.
Yeah,
that's my day job. But I was thinking about that, and I was like, Hot Wheels would probably not go for it, but Maisto is really creative, and they got a ton of different options and licenses, and they're already putting out cars with twin Gatling guns on them. So yeah, but,
I thought I was gonna get for doing that, but I was surprised that one.
Hot Wheels still has cars with guns on it. That surprises me. Like they still have a few cars with guns on them.
We have a lot of Tailwinds airplanes that they're like military.
Yeah.
Military planes, some commuter planes and stuff like that. But we have gotten a little heat here and there from some of the castings that got put out.
Right.
Yeah.
In this day and age, somebody's going to be mad at everything, man. So I'd say just keep rocking out what you guys are doing. I love you. I love your stuff.
Buying them, keep making them. Yeah.
Man.
So we've talked a little bit about the basic line cars. Do you guys have any kind of vision or desire to get into that really ultra premium market that a lot of the 164 makers are doing? Maybe something not quite RLC, not a member of a club, just something rubber tires and just really lay on the detail.
We do have a line in Burago because, we own Burago as well. And we have a Burago 1/64th scale line that I believe it was like in China mostly. And it's almost like a Tamika car. It's like very detailed with opening doors and hard plastic wheels with like foil stamping, but it's like a really nicely done 164 car. Then we did also,
Okay.
I don't know if you saw Time Micro Bugatti that we came out with.
Yeah, I've got it.
That one was.
You guys were part of the.
Yeah, that one was a collaboration between Time Micro and Barago, and I didn't get
That's
to
right.
really
Okay.
oversee that. It was all done overseas, but that was probably the most detailed 164 we've ever done.
It's awesome. I've got it on my
Mhm.
shelf right now. As a matter of fact, that's good to know. Can I ask you just real quickly about the design line? Do those run a little bigger than 164 because they look great?
Which one?
The Acura NSX I've got seemed like it was. I thought it was called Design, Maisto Design, or
Maisto, right? Yeah.
So that seems to be a little bit higher end model for you guys. Was that
So those ones, our Maisto Design stuff is the same that we have in Special Edition, which a Special Edition car is like pretty much a stock vehicle. We take them into Maisto Design and we'll put like custom wheels, rubber tire. Obviously they have rubber tires on those ones, but we'll do like the thinner tires or whatever tire is correct for that vehicle. And some of them are actually like licensed tires, like Toyo and Falcon.
Sweet.
So we do get down to like little details like that. And then, what else?
Jump in there, Mark. Bail out. Bail
Sorry.
him out.
No, we want Eddie out. He's all.
It's Mark's. It's
Let
Mark's.
him out
Mark's smooth look over there. It threw me off, man.
The blue steel.
Eddie, Anchorman, the movie, the different newscaster, their Channel 5 and all the different news outlets. Do you ever envision kind of like a fight between
Heck yes.
Hot Wheels
Heck
Yes.
and Bronco Maisto?
Yeah.
Cage fight.
Different, like through the bad. Have you ever envisioned that scene?
I'll tell you a story.
Pretty sure I just did.
I'll tell you a story, and I don't know. This might burn some bridges if I tell you the story, but oh well.
You know what? I love
Do
it.
it.
So
Bring it.
back in the day when I was at Jada, right? When I was at Jada, we were kind of like the bad boys of Diecast, right? So we were.
Oh yeah.
We were actually like in the same vicinity as Funline, which owned Muscle Machines, right? And so we would, at the time, we were doing the whole dub thing and stuff like that. We actually cruised through the Funline parking lot and we're like just kind of like trying to intimidate them.
We are like
Drive by,
Yeah.
just go like drive
like
slow.
This is back in
throwing
the-
J's and
and then
Yeah.
And then when we were doing the Initial D stuff at Jada, one of the guys, he was like really into Initial D, and he was telling us how, I think it was the Rising Suns, they would like cut the stickers of their rival clubs. They would like cut the stickers and like flip them upside down when they would beat them. And so we all had our Jada shirts, our crew shirts, right? And so I had a Hot Wheels patch on mine that was flipped upside down and cut.
That's amazing.
shots fired.
Ooh, shots
Love it.
Watch out.
And I just love that you guys lived up to the hype because I remember thinking that too during the Dub City era
Guys are
because it was
rough.
like you guys put some pretty hard looking homie figures in with your cars and you had the like all the cars that looked like they would cut the other diecast cars, so that's really fun that you were
that was their thing, right? Keeping it real, man.
Exactly.
That's right. There
So
you go.
doing the cars that Hot Wheels was too scared to do.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
these are the cars on the streets, and the street always wins, as Vin says.
And they're gonna shut your pot.
But yeah,
Um,
that's awesome, right? I know.
They can take it from our
Good-
cold, dead hands.
Brendan's not coming back on the show, guys. I'm sorry. So to get us back out of this hot water, because we were
territory.
talking about the premiums. Yeah. Anthony Hammond wrote us and he said we're talking about the premiums, the Hobby 164 castings have been impressive, especially the K5 Blazer and the new Bronco. Are there any plans to expand the Hobby 164 offerings? So, and yes, I agree. The K5 is a really cool casting. I saw that you got a new one with a boat on a trailer. I'm looking forward to grabbing that one. And yeah, the Bronco is incredible.
Bronco's good.
Like the Bronco is
Did you guys
really, really good.
Did you guys see the Mercedes 190E yet?
No.
No,
seen that one?
I haven't seen that one.
Well, I got the BMW here. The BMW is pretty sick.
Is that the E30? Yeah.
M3 E30. And some people were saying like this casting was better than the Hot Wheels one, but obviously the wheels.
I agree. No, hey, you can only do so much with the wheels. I'm not going to hold it against you because I understand the constraints of a designer. In fact, actually, we had somebody asked us. We had several people ask about the wheels. They were buying the adventure wheels castings for wheel swaps, and then somebody else asked if the details have ever had to be sacrificed in order to save money. And I think we talked about that with the wheels, of course, but are there ever, like, when you go and present a design and they look at it, have you ever had to make that awful choice of going, okay, well, we got to sacrifice this detail to have that, or like, how do you find that balance of going, this is what I want to make, but this is what I know we can do and still keep the price point at where it needs to be?
Right. It does happen. Like with the fresh metal stuff or adventure wheel stuff, it's just a set price. And so like everything, like you notice on those castings, a lot of them don't have like very many tampos. Like sometimes they'll just have maybe the tail lights or the headlights or something, or a badge.
Just a hood badge.
Yeah, just a badge. Sometimes the manufacturers will get real picky, especially the Euro ones. And they'll want their taillights and their headlights. And so some of them will get a little more details than others. But that is a sacrifice. And then also for the price, like they don't have interior, right? They just have blacked out windows.
Sure, the blacked out windows, yeah. So, yeah, I get that. You've introduced some new tuned cars recently. Speaking of things that rival the big guys. And like there was I think it was a 6.4 Impala, and you got a what looks like a hard body Nissan truck custom with like twin turbos sticking out of the hood. Those are really, really cool. Like I'm hoping to see more of those. Those are very fun. But yeah, it's kind of interesting too because they're like kind of muscle machine-ish, but not like they're a different kind of tuned look, and they turned out really good. Like the Nissan one too. Like speaking of like details, it's got like details on the turbos have got a couple, like 2 colors on them. You've got headlights, taillights, and it's got that really nice blue paint job on it right now, the one that I've seen in the stores. And so that one really like feels like it's punching way above the weight class in what people might traditionally expect of a Maisto. But yeah, like I said, it's really exciting kind of seeing the innovations and the stuff that's coming out, like again your 53 Chevy. I think that one's super cool. Is that kind of, we talked about this before, but like is the 53 Chevy kind of your, like, is that the one that you're like, yes, I finally did it, or is there another car that you'd really like to see that's your dream is to realize in a casting?
Probably a couple of them. Like the 53, obviously I have a 53 Chevy, so like that was kind of like the mini me version of my real car that I'm working on. Right. And then we're doing a 54 Chevy right now. It's just a little bit different, but it'll be more custom. And then we're working on a 64 Impala right now. That's another one of them that I really wanted to do. So it'll be a 124 scale. Some of the lowriders that we're doing right now, those were like, I've been wanting to do those since I came to Maisto, and now we're finally doing them 16, 17 years later.
Right.
Hey,
Mark?
On a long enough timeline, we'll get a Saturn.
Yeah. So, I was going to bring up those tuned cars too, because I think Eddie and I were talking about those tuned cars down at the convention. And I think one of my favorite diecast cars of all time is actually Muscle Machine, the little 510 that I've haven't really seen much of. The little tiny red one. I think we talked about it. Deep dish wheels and just stubby, just really stubby, and it's got a nice rake to it. But it's just a cool little chunky Datsun 510. And you don't really see many companies do that kind of stuff. It's more artistic. And I think I gave Eddie a Muscle Machine while we were down there. The blue, I think it was a blue 510. I think he threw it in the garbage can before he left the convention. I watched him, and I was like, kind of watching from afar, and there's a single tear, and you know how it kind of just fills up in your like eyelid first, and then it just drops really fast. It's kind of
So sad.
how that went. Yeah, because I just
I was
watched
like,
him walk
"Get out of
and
here."
he didn't just throw it in there so aggressively too. It wasn't just like a toss like I was getting. It was like like boom. I could hear it. I could feel it. No, but those muscle machines are really cool, and I think you're talking about maybe I don't know. I think you should bring the 510 back. The stubby little chunky fat tire 510s.
Oh, we were talking about the one.
Very lucrative.
Don't touch that dial. Diecast Breakdown will be right back after these messages.
This episode of Diecast Breakdown is brought to you by you. That's right. We are 100% viewer and listener supported, and we are so grateful for those of you who have already supported the podcast and the shows we're planning to add to the Diecast Media Network family. You can find out more about how to support this project by visiting diecastmedianetwork.com or email us about sponsoring an episode at diecastbreakdown@gmail.com. The best way you can support what we're doing right now, though, is to subscribe and share these episodes with your family, friends, and Facebook groups. Anyone you think would enjoy what we're doing. Any extra attention we can get early on will go a huge way in helping this project grow. Thank you so much for sharing this journey with us.
Hello, this is Diecast Dude from the Netherlands, and you are watching Diecast Breakdown.
This presentation of Diecast Breakdown is brought to you by Twice Diecast and Dotson Man Diecast on YouTube. Please visit their links in the show notes and subscribe to their channels for more epic Diecast content.
Alright guys, it's Mad Vision here. You guys are watching Diecast Breakdown.
And now, the thrilling conclusion of this week's episode of Diecast Breakdown.
We had a late entry of a question from Rob at Scale Enthusiasm. Eddie, he says he can only find the Maisto design semi-trucks, and that which are some of his favorite castings. Why can he only find those at gas stations? Do you have the answer to that?
Truck stop.
I wish I had the answer to that.
That's
I'll have
not
to
a...
ask it. That's a sales team.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Not my department.
Yeah. I will say I do really, like I said, I really dig those car hauler series, the Mack truck, tow truck especially.
Yeah,
Really
so the
nice.
Maisto design ones, right? Those are the elite transports.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
The elite transports, that's what they're called. Yes. So
That Caprice is just perfect.
This is the 155 scale one that we did a while back. We got in trouble.
Yeah.
From BRE, from Peter Brock.
Yeah, because at the time we didn't have the license, so we did this one like under the radar, and then we got in trouble for it.
Zoinks.
That's something you would do. I believe that.
But
They're
we
the
have,
bad
a
boys of
relationship,
Diecast.
we have a relationship with BRE now, so we're good.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's good. Peter Brock's a cool dude.
Yeah. He's
Good dude.
How many times have you met him, Mark? You've hung out with him a few
Just
times.
once. No, just once.
Talk to him
but
for 45
I met-
minutes.
Oh, at least. I think we played some basketball, played some hoops.
Ate waffles.
Looked the threes, hurt my face. No, he's a cool dude. Like, he was at a car show that we threw every once a year down in Oregon. But yeah, he was hemming and hawing on my 510, and that was like very flattering because he was like, "Is this your car?" And I was like,
Yes, it is, Peter Brock. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And he's like,
It's like,
you
does it
can
run?"
just call me Peter. And he's like,
Oh.
yes, Peter Brock.
Yeah. But I met John Morden the year before that. He was at we invited him to our car show. So cool guys. I mean, like coming to kind of, I don't know, podunk little Datsun car shows. I think, like I've mentioned before, I think John Morden pulled away in a Toyota Yaris at the end. We were like,
Wow.
it's 510, man. He's like, I don't have one.
Wow.
Yeah, man. You need to raise some money and get that guy another 510, like fuel injected 510. Just we'll put a Yaris engine in it, but just he needs a 510
For sure.
We had another, Chuck, you had another question about another Toyota idea for...
Well, yes. Our dear friend Rico Bobe asked us to ask you about a 97 Toyota Paseo convertible. And I'm like, okay, yeah, why not? Sure. We had an ask about that. We had an ask for Chevy Novas, which, yeah, sure, why not? Chevy Novas.
Put it on the list.
Yeah, like exactly. I had a feeling as soon as I put up all the questions, it was going to be, can you make this car? Before we wrap things up, talk a little bit about your artwork as well, because like you said, you study graphic design. you do the design work for Maisto, but you also have Castro 13 Art as your Instagram, and everybody will link to that. But let's talk a bit about your other hobbies with your other design work and some of the cool stuff that you're doing over there.
So if you see my Castro 13 art, it's mostly like cars and characters, right? Like, but mostly characters if you really look through my feed. So I've been drawing like cartoon characters since I was a kid and just never stopped. So it's just always been my passion. I feel like I should have ended up in the animation industry or something, but it didn't work out that way. I just kind of found my way into the diecast industry. So on my side time, I'm always drawing like just cartoon characters and different like graffiti and different types of things like that. And then I like to do renderings of cars. So you'll see a lot of different Photoshop renderings of different lowriders and hot rods and stuff like that.
Very cool. And for those who don't know, you had a booth set up at Diecast SuperCon. You were showing off your artwork. You were, I believe you were selling stuff as well.
You missing anything?
No, I wasn't missing. Not that I know.
Oh, no.
Inventory? Better look again.
Better look again. Anyway, so for folks who have never gone to a diecast show before, what are some recommendations that you would have to them if they were thinking about it, or what would you tell them if they were thinking about going to a show?
About going to a diecast show? I mean, I think if you're going to go to a diecast show, like you have to be a fan of the diecast, right? Because I think just the average people are just not might cruise around and, oh, that's cool. But it's like the car guys and the diecast collectors, like they always like hit it hard and kind of party for that week, have a good time. And then it's just cool, like linking up with all I mean, they're all like family members. Like they see each other every year or at every convention every few months or whatever. And it's always a good time. I had a blast this time, man. It was cool.
Amen. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got to meet Dave and Mark out there. That was cool. Mark, maybe not so much, but
Mark, Sergeant Slaughter, Tom Wopat, they're Eric Estrada and Mark McCotwheel. Yeah.
Daisy dude.
Hey, for real, Eric Estrada was rocking some Fruity Pebbles Jordans. Just for the record.
Shoes, huh?
Nice.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he did.
The shoe game was on.
David.
What's that, Mark?
Why are you looking at people's shoes?
He's a shoe connoisseur.
Sure. Awkward lineup. I got two things. Yeah. Got two things, Eddie. First, it was a pleasure meeting you down at the convention. It's rare that you meet people that are down to earth and cool and humble.
Ouch.
And then what do you or somebody else? No, I'm just kidding. It was really nice to connect with you. So if you ever have the opportunity to run into Eddie, just walk up to him, throw a punch, see if he dodges it. He's pretty quick. So I'm not saying violence. I'm just a shadow, not an actual. Just give him kind of a quick. He's quick. I tried it, couldn't do it.
Please do not actually assault our guests on Diecast Breakdown.
No, don't. Yeah,
but
like it's not a fake punch, a little homie punch. And then the second thing is little homie punch. The second thing is, if you had any advice for people currently working at Kinko's, what would it be if they're trying to get into art design of some sort? What would your advice be to them?
Draw every day.
Draw it.
The cool thing is I'm over here designing cars, man. I'm a kid from the hood. I grew up in a not so great neighborhood and I didn't have a great upbringing, but here I am. I'm on an interview with you guys and I get to design toy cars for my career and it's just awesome, dude. It's been awesome. And I don't know how I fell into it. Like I didn't go to school for automotive design or transportation design like a lot of the guys do at Hot Wheels. And there's some of my friends in the industry who are the same as me, just street guys, grew up and just kind of got lucky to get into where we got into. And
I don't think
I appreciate that, man. I mean, it's talent and just like hard work and just being
Drive.
cool. You know what I mean, you be cool with people, and I mean that's a little bit of my story. I would love to tell you guys all about it.
That's a great message,
cool.
Eddie.
We'll have to have you back on and tell some more of that, but that is really cool. And before we sign off here, like I've mentioned before, Castro 13 Art on Instagram. Check it out. There is a gorgeous 37 Plymouth drawing on here that I just saw that I was just like, wow, might have to buy a print of that one because that is just beautiful. But yeah, Eddie's got a lot of really great art. Is there anywhere else besides Instagram that people can find you, follow you, all that good stuff?
I mean, I'm on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. I have pages on there. It's all like the art of Eddie Castro or Castro 13 Art.
Cool.
Very cool. Well, we will be sure to link to that in the show notes. So check that out in the description below this video or in the description for the audio podcast. Again, Eddie, absolute delight to talk to you. Thank you again for the time and for joining us again. We'll have to have you back on and just talk more about cars and design and culture and all that good stuff. But
anytime.
Again, thanks for being here. And thank you to our listeners and viewers who have joined us. Thanks to the patrons who support this show and the members who have clicked the little join button. If you want to know more about how to support the show, you can visit us at diecastbreakdown.com, and that will take you to all of the various socials and ways you can support the show. Again, thank you so much for making it to the end of yet another episode, and we will look forward to seeing you again in a future one. So until next time, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Cheese bag.
Thanks for listening to Diecast Breakdown. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend to listen in. Find Diecast Breakdown on your favorite social media platforms or visit diecastmedianetwork.com to learn more about this and our other projects. Diecast Breakdown is a presentation of Flying Valiant and the Diecast Media Network.